So again, Donald Trump doubled down on his comments, disgusting comments about Baltimore. I find it interesting that 55% of Americans find the president to be racist and 45% don't. My question for those 45%, what have you heard that was even more racist than what we're hearing right now that makes you that comfortable? And I think that it would be a problem for you describing those things as racist because they sound familiar. Probably you yourself have heard or said even worse. But the fact remains that he constantly attacks people of color. The old adage, we are Baltimore, when everybody say that, we literally are. Almost every adjective and way that they describe Baltimore, they would describe any city or any area where black people live. They're always called infested, and I think he always finds a way to attack black lawmakers. He has threatened to pull funding from Cummings District. Now, whether you like him or not, the bottom line, the president's job is not to have political hitmen and use the power of the presidency to do it. And it can't be abetted. What you did and are doing to Baltimore, to those congressmen, to whoever else, all these people, to Puerto Rico, to those brown people in those cages, is attack them based on race, knowing that it will curry favor to the people who support you. Virtually every attack he levels at black people makes his support among, if it's 55% of people agreeing with him, a large percent of those people of color who are driving the numbers up. But I guarantee you a lot of white people do not think he's racist at all. It's interesting that when Mark Meadows, the congressman from North Carolina, was cast as racist because he trotted out a black girl and looked like he was basically selling her at an auction, his biggest and loudest supporter was Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings said from the bench out loud, he's not. You know what Mark Meadows did in defense of Elijah Cummings? He had a text that he let Rick Santorum read. So this is supposed to be one of your best friends, and even he was benign and quiet. You talk about Baltimore. We are literally all Baltimore. The same problems that plague them plague everybody else. But all black people don't live in these circumstances. All black people don't live in these situations. You attack Baltimore. Do you know that the 10, and you ascribe it to governance, the 10 poorest cities in the poorest states in the United States of America are Mississippi, New Mexico, Alabama, Louisiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, South Carolina, Arkansas, Georgia, and North Carolina. Did governance have anything to do with their station? Is it lack of participation? Like Mark Meadows is from North Carolina. His district is struggling. Are you saying anything about that? Here's the thing. The problems that you had described in Baltimore, and I'm not pretending like Baltimore does not have its problems, but those problems are as much a result of neglect and racism and systemic racism as anything else. Even before black people were in governance or liberals were in governance there, they had these problems because people tend to treat them a certain way. Funds are allocated a certain way. You said that Baltimore is a far worse and most dangerous city. It is considered one of the worst in the USA. That Elijah Cummings spends all of his time trying to hurt innocent people through oversight. He does nothing for the very poor, even though his approval ratings in his district are much higher than yours, President Trump. He threatened to Donald Trump investigate the federal funds sent to Cummings district, and he said that no human being would want to live there because it's rat infested. He talked about how infested it was. But it's interesting that we can point to a direct source of that infestation. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, owns 17 complexes, 9,000 rental units, more than 200 building code violations in that area. One court described a leaking bedroom ceiling, maggots in the living room carpet, raw sewage spewing from the kitchen sink. Residents argued in lawsuits that rents in the buildings were padded with mysteriously added fees and late fees as a part of a ruse to evict them when money wasn't paid. Kushner Co. owns a 701 HUD-supported units in Baltimore County, the very district you castigated. Year-to-date, inspectors have discovered 173 failures to meet standards. Only when HUD funds were threatened to be withheld were necessary repairs made. In other Kushner-owned units, company inspectors issued 35 correction notices. Necessary repairs were made to all but 3 properties where fines were issued totaling $3,500. 5 new complaints were recently received and are still under investigation by county code inspectors. And this is Kushner. This is your son-in-law. We expect all landlords to comply with the code requirements that protect the health and safety of their tenants, even if the landlord's father-in-law is president of the United States. And that is a statement by the Baltimore County officials. Trump, He is right, it is corrupt government, and you are at the start of it. Your son-in-law contributes to the very conditions that you have castigated, that humans wouldn't want to live there. But instead of fixing them, you profit from them. Your son-in-law and your daughter live off people's misery, much like you do. So if you have a problem with what's happening in Baltimore, with rat infestation, with people not wanting to live down there, instead of talking to Elijah Cummings, walk your ass down the hallway and talk to your son-in-law.